Today we're cooking a Paella Valencia on this Weber Kettle Grill. It's a 22 inch, it's the most popular selling grill that they make. And we're doing a giant paella on it. We have our coals all set, nice and hot, ready to go. We have our paella pan going down. It's gonna heat up pretty quickly. There's a really high heat. We're gonna get started with a ton of olive oil. Probably a good solid cup. You can never have enough olive oil when you're making a paella. And since we're doing paella, we're doing some Spanish olive oil. First thing that we need to do is build our foundation of the paella, which is the sofrito. That's gonna be onions, peppers, garlic. We're gonna use some really great sausage from Spain, and that's gonna give a lot of flavor to the oil and a lot of color to the dish. So we're gonna get this started with some chorizo from Spain, and then we're gonna cook down the sofrito and continue with this paella. Now that we have our chorizo nice and rendered down and almost cooked, we're gonna add the onions and peppers right to it. Some people like to remove it and add it back later. I like to let it continue to cook with the sofrito. I just think it gives a wonderful depth of flavor. Now that we have our onions and peppers cooked about halfway down, we're gonna start adding some of our dry spices and our fresh garlic. I don't want to add the garlic too soon because I don't want it to burn, but I do want it to toast inside the onions and the garlic. We started with 1 large onion, 1 red bell pepper, 1 yellow pepper, and about a good pound of that Spanish chorizo. And here we have 1 head of garlic, about 12 cloves. We're gonna add some smoked paprika. This is a must in paella. Here we have our adobo spice. You can find this on our YouTube channel as well. We have a Southwest adobo spice. We have all the recipes there and all the proportions that you need to make this. We're gonna give it a good season. There's gonna be a lot of salt coming from the chorizo, but we have a lot of vegetables here, so we definitely wanna season it up. Next up, saffron. It would not be a paella without saffron. This stuff is really strong, super expensive, but a little goes a long way. So it's just gonna be a good pinch of saffron. Wonderful. Once the garlic hits the pan, that smoked paprika, it's amazing. The grill is not just for grilling anymore. All right, next up, now that we have the sofrito cooking down, we're gonna introduce our chicken. So we like to use chicken thighs. It has a lot of fat, which fat equals flavor, and it doesn't dry out on us. So I want the chicken to have a good chance to cook. So we're gonna add the chicken early during the process of cooking down the sofrito. And this is about 3 pounds of chicken thighs diced up. So now that I have the chicken part cooked off, the sofrito working really nicely, everything's cooking together, I'm gonna add some tomato. Here we have some fire roasted tomatoes that we just diced up. You can use tomato paste, you can use fresh tomatoes. Give that a stir. So we're also gonna have some shrimp and mussels put in here too, but we're gonna put that in at the end because we don't wanna overcook that. So the next step here is I like to deglaze this with just a little bit of white wine. Obviously a white wine from Spain would be amazing, like an Albarino. So we have that here, and we're just gonna use you can use as much as you like if you want more acidity. We're just gonna use about a half a cup just to kind of deglaze the pan, add some acidity to the dish. So now that everything is cooked down and it's been simmering, smells amazing, looks amazing, we're gonna add the rice. We're using bomba rice from Spain, traditional rice for a paella. It's a short grain rice similar to like a risotto. The outside gets nice and creamy and kind of lends itself into the paella. The inside kind of holds up so it stays nice and structurally intact. So wonderful rice. I highly recommend using the bomba rice for this dish, but if you don't have it, a short grain rice would definitely substitute really well. We're just gonna sprinkle this evenly across the entire surface of the paella. Now that we have the rice in there, it's absorbing all those wonderful flavors of the oil with the chorizo and the sofrito and all those aromatics. Now we're going to introduce some chicken stock. So since it's a seafood also paella, you can use some shrimp stock, or you can actually make a combination of like a shrimp stock with a chicken stock. Here we have chicken stock. So we have our homemade chicken stock. Also on the YouTube channel, you can see how to make chicken stock from scratch. We have this recipe available for you, so hopefully that helps as well. And we're gonna just cover the rice. All right, now that we have the stock in there and we have it covered beautifully, it's not gonna take long to cook. The awesome thing about this 22-inch kettle and this size paella pan is that the lid fits perfectly on top. How cool is that? So we're gonna let this rice cook for about 20 minutes so it just gets barely cooked through, and then we're gonna introduce our shrimp and our mussels to it. All right, I've had this covered for a bit. I wanna just give it a quick check. Let's see how it looks inside. How cool is that? So you can see there's a lot of liquid in here still because the liquid from the chicken, the liquid from the vegetables. So traditionally you don't stir this, you want to develop a crust on the bottom, but I like to just get my spoon in there and make sure everything's going okay. Yep, move it around a bit. Not traditional, but it makes me feel better. Right now it's a perfect time to taste this. All the flavors are developing. The rice still isn't cooked all the way through. You have a chance to really introduce some more seasoning into the broth if you need to do so. Because right now what this broth tastes like is what the rice is gonna taste like and what the paella is gonna taste like. Oh man, perfect, perfect. I'm gonna give it just another little pinch of adobo, but not too much because we're still gonna get some salinity from the mussels. When they open, they're gonna lend itself to the broth as well as the shrimp, and that's gonna bring a little bit more salt to the dish and some umami as well. Man, you really wanna impress your guest, do a paella instead of grilling in the backyard. It's gonna blow their mind. Open up that lid and they're gonna see this giant paella inside this Weber kettle. It's gonna be awesome. Let's take a look at what's going on. Beautiful. Oh man, I wish you could smell this. It's absolutely amazing. Now that I can see that the rice is becoming translucent, looks like it's about halfway cooked, I'm gonna start introducing the shellfish so it has a chance to cook in the broth and give all the flavor to the broth. So we're gonna start off with 2 pounds of shrimp. And this has already been deveined, tails off, shells off. Once again, I'm breaking all the rules by stirring it, but I haven't developed that crust until the end, so I feel comfortable stirring the shrimp in so that way it really incorporates itself into the paella dish. Wonderful. And now we're going to introduce some mussels. You can use PEI black mussels, the Prince Edward Island. Today we're using New Zealand green lip mussels, some of my favorites. Nice, big, thick, juicy mussels from New Zealand. Really going to want to bury these into this paella so they steam up. Beautiful. All right, so now we really don't want to stir it anymore. So we're going to let this continue to cook. We're going to put a lid on it. We're going to let it go for about 5 minutes, and then we'll make sure the rice is cooked through, that the mussels have opened up, and that the shellfish is all the way cooked through as well. All right, so the shrimp and the mussels have had a chance to cook. We're gonna peek in and see how it's looking. Oh yeah, it's perfect. So you can see the shrimp is nice and pink and it's firm to the touch. The mussels are opened up and all their juices are getting in there. If you find any mussels that haven't opened up for you, just discard them. So if you see something that's completely closed, that's not good. Make sure you get rid of it. Like this one, when you cook mussels or other shellfish like clams, When they're alive, they'll be nice and tightly closed, and then after you cook them, they'll open up. If they don't open up, that means that they were already dead, and there's a chance that they're not good to eat. That could be called a mud puppy, where there's actually mud inside them. You don't want to ruin the dish, so you don't want to force them open. You want to just discard it and then just eat the mussels that open up naturally. So this looks perfect. Last little touch here is some peas. These are just sweet peas. Feel free to use frozen peas. If you have fresh peas, amazing. Chopped Italian parsley. You can use cilantro, flat leaf parsley, combination of both. I love flat leaf parsley for this dish. There's one bunch chopped. All right, we're gonna let the peas steam through for just 1 minute, and then afterwards I'll show you what I like to finish it with. So now our paella is done. It looks amazing. The peas have now steamed through. We just want to give it a little poke on the bottom, make sure that we have that crust developing down there. Yep, I can feel it. It's just sticking just enough. Beautiful. That wonderful crust on there is just a whole nother layer of flavor and caramelization. The mussels have opened up beautifully. The shrimp is cooked beautifully. The peas are steamed through. They're nice and hot. Last little bit of acidity just to lift all the flavor, especially when you're doing like chicken and seafood, is lemon, right? So got some fresh lemons here, just gonna squeeze it all over the top. We got a lot of acidity from the white wine as well, but that brightness of citrus right at the end just really lifts all the flavors. Can't wait to dig in. A little bit of that crust on the bottom. Make sure I get a mussel, some shrimp, some of that chicken, all these beautiful veggies. Man, cannot wait. Prepared. Man, that's good. I gotta put this down and get into the mussel. I love these New Zealand green lip mussels. Man, they're so sweet. How huge that is, amazing. Oh man, it's too good. All the flavors are there. You have all the wonderful brightness and salinity from all the shellfish and the sweetness. You have all that sofrito aromatics, the acidity from the wine and the lemon. The bomba rice holds up to all those big flavors. Nice and creamy, but the structure is still there. Amazing dish. Paella Valencia, my version. This is perfect. I could just be my own entertainment.